Welcome to this fireside chat about optimizing and changing your buyer journeys and experiences for AI. Everything is changing. Luckily, we've brought together two incredible leaders in space, in Dmitry and Liudmila, to help us unpack what you can really do in this AI world to continue to drive customer satisfaction and obviously continue to drive customer loyalty to your business, right? We're going to separate the wheat from the chaff. We're going to hopefully help you understand what's real, what's not, and leave you walking away with some real actionable items that will impact the way your business shows up and performs across these brand new AI answer engines. I'm Lance Owide. I'm the general manager of B2B at BigCommerce. We're an e-commerce platform servicing manufacturers and distributors up and down the revenue scale. Dmitry, I'll hand to you to introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Dmitry. I've been doing digital transformation projects for close to 20 years now, and I have seen what impact AI has on the day-to-day operations of businesses and how there is a lot of hype, and at the same time that there is little truly tangible, actionable advice out there. At the personal level, I'm extremely interested not in just the technology itself, but the practical application we may find for it. As a matter of fact, I've just enrolled into a postgraduate course with the University of Texas in Austin, which is going to take me quite a few months to complete into my personal time. I hope to be sharing more practical advice as I progress through that. But here, really to bring my experience in B2B and where I see the opportunities for anyone, regardless of where they are in their AI journey, to make an impact and improve their business outcomes. Liudmila, over to you.
Hey everybody, my name is Liudmila. I'm CEO and founder of Rampik, the B2B digital marketing agency. Personally, I have about 2 decades experience in SEO, everything related to search, data analysis, paid and performance ads. So when the AI search environment appeared, I jumped right into it. And we help tech brands, B2B tech brands, corporate brands included, to get more visibility into what AI search is, how to turn it to your advantage. And I have been in this niche for more than a year. And as my academical background goes, I did train the models myself. At a very low scale, though, even before the whole OpenAI thing appeared. So from both the academic perspective and the business perspective and the marketing perspective, I've been in the weeds for a while. Hopefully today we will be unveiling some of the secrets, and I'm eager to share everything that I know and have learned so far about this new environment and how you can get the most out of it for your business.
Awesome. Dmitry, Liudmila, it's so great to be talking to you both. I'm excited to learn from you as well. But I think before we get into it, we have to set the scene. This is a pretty confusing time, I think, for many B2B businesses out there, whether you're a manufacturer or a distributor. Some may not even understand what an AI model is or how these are changing the way that buyers are interacting with their product information. And I think maybe that's a good place to start. We see statistics up and down the news. I think I saw one yesterday, 58% of B2C buyers are now starting their journeys on an LLM, which is very scary for a B2C business. But let's unpack, what does that mean for B2B? What are these tools? How do they operate? Maybe, Liudmila, with all of your experience, you could kick us off there.
Absolutely. To break it down into more like smaller chunks and probably more clear, to give a more clear picture, AI search or AI visibility has two worlds. One of them, imagine like native AI. This is where people go on ChatGPT, on Perplexity, and as you and I, every day, we ask the prompts, we have some results. Some of them will have links to external websites. Some of them will have mentions of some brands. So this is how we now search in a completely different environment as we used to before those LLM platforms or AI platforms appeared. And this is like a native AI search. This is where you are on ChatGPT in your browser or an app, or you're talking to Perplexity or any similar platform. The second biggest shift is that Google and Bing, the search engines, are also now in this race. When you Google something, you'll have those AI generated overviews sitting on top of search results. In our digital marketing world, we call them AI overviews, the official term of Google that Google suggested, but those also AI generated answers, answer engines, a lot of names. But the main concept here is that those little lines of auto-generated text on top of the search results, this is the new reality, and this is where we are shifting away from 10 blue links, ads included, to something new. For B2B brands, the biggest concept to understand is that now we have the new world, the native AI search. Those are the users of ChatGPT, Perplexity, and other platforms that do the research, they do the information gathering around something, and they do it on those kind of platforms. But also, AI is now penetrating into the traditional search environment with those generated answers, AI overviews on Google. This is where the AI search is now merging those worlds together.
I really like the picture of the transition that we're going through from I love the 10 blue links. I'm probably going to steal that and reuse that to now an answer, a natural language answer that kind of makes sense. The problem I have, and this is what I often hear from manufacturing distributors, my customers have been coming to me for 10 years, purchasing the same products, maybe even contracted to purchase those products. My core customers represent 80% of my revenue. I don't think they're going to change. I don't think they're now going to an AI answer engine to decide which HVAC part they should be purchasing or the health supplies, the sanitary supplies, the safety supplies. I'm contracted. Over the next 2 years, I know how much they're buying. They've already signed the contract. So, how do we think about differentiating the core customer and the long tail customer as we think about the impact of AI on those customer cohorts and segments? How do you think about the impact of AI on different customer cohorts, customer segments, and how folks should think about it? If I am that manufacturer saying, I don't need to think about this, I've had long term customers, they've been with me for a long time. Why is this still important?
I think that there are several different situations that your buyer can find themselves in. They still have choices oftentimes. If you're running out of supply, for example, they might start turning to other suppliers for the same parts, especially applicable to distributors. Manufacturers can be in a slightly different situation, but every manufacturer has multiple distributors. Being in distribution space is a frequent scenario where your competitor underbids you, or sometimes price is not even the biggest differentiator. It's the reliability. It's the fact that I can always count on somebody having that part at the time that I need. When somebody is starting a new project, there is always this net new customer that you should be trying to fight for and become visible. And just as Liudmila pointed out, the AI overviews, they steal so much attention. I can say firsthand that my personal experience as a solutions architect, I have to constantly search for new B2B solutions for different clients that I work with. I rarely have to go beyond the first half of the screen on Google. It's interesting to note that some of the most impactful decision makers tend to be the most sophisticated because they have the most responsibility on their shoulders. They tend to pick up those advanced AI tools quicker. You don't need a lot of those people to make a significant impact. So this net new acquisition is crucially important, and you want to be at the top of the results produced by AI answer engines. Being able to discover the product once they are on your website. It could be your repeat existing customer, but if you're creating difficulty, introducing friction into their buying process, they might just get annoyed. I think one of the biggest things, and Lance, I probably heard that from you, some statistic that if you make this buying experience frictionless, they will stick with you again, even if some other terms are not as good on paper. Because it is, a B2B buyer is not buying out of excitement and for personal, the way we shop for B2Cs. Sometimes you have to do this 9 to 5 job. You have to buy this part. You have to keep the project running. So don't make something that's a chore even more difficult. So AI is actually an interesting concept that's forgotten about. It should be or could be introduced into the buying experience when they're already on the website. And natural language search or smart recommendations, personalized experiences, they're extremely important in B2B, especially because you have so much first party data. You know your customer so well. And it would be a shame to waste that data and that opportunity.
Yeah, I love that. I think there's so much to unpack there. Importantly, there are two avenues you went down. First, the initial search, improving discoverability externally on those AI channels, those LLMs, large language models, and go into a bit more detail maybe about that in a minute and how they operate. Once on your channel, how do I improve that experience? How do I improve your ability to find the product you're getting to? Let's start with number one. And you unpack that really nicely. This is also net new. You've got a core base of customers who are coming back. Hopefully, they're loyal to you and they're going to keep coming back. Fingers crossed. But the smaller, the mom and pop shop, what I like to call that long tail, they are likely using these AI tools to find products that they're going to purchase and maybe put in their store. Or if they're a small automotive shop, purchasing to use in their day-to-day jobs or HVAC parts, etc. So the search is starting there. And so I think the question that probably every manufacturer and distributor listening to this is asking themselves is, okay, what do I do? What do I do with my data? What data do I need? Has the world changed? How do I prepare for this AI tool to ingest that data and make me discoverable? How do I become discoverable? And so, Liudmila, maybe I'll hand to you to tee us up for that. Start to answer that question, because I think that's what folks are really nervous about and trying to answer.
Thank you, Lance. And that's a loaded one because it looks like that shift that we are having now gives us two interesting worlds, not just like the native AI search and the AI search features we talked about, but also two internets, one for humans, one for agents. How do I become discoverable for LLMs? That's the question about the second world. And it's now emerging. If you're following the very high level, the direction where OpenAI is taking their product, it's all about like the agentic thing. And the agents, those are the predefined scenarios of how your AI systems or like LLM systems will work. So let's say you're on ChatGPT and you're researching the potential vendors for the next year, or you're just thinking, hey, I think I just look around, do some sort of research. So you are asking a question, and what happens behind the scenes, the ChatGPT and the large language model behind it will call a bot function. And that function will be your little robot that will go out there on the web and will start the research for your prompt. And this is where another important difference is coming into play. The keywords, we have to mess for the keywords. Let's pick like 50 keywords. Let's be on top of Google results with them. And that's going to drive us visibility. Now, the average length of the prompt in ChatGPT is 20 words. So it means that when we are dealing with this new way to research information, it's where we actually need to understand how the talking points changed, how the experience changed. And now LLM picks up your prompt, it breaks it down to smaller keywords, and it does 10, 15 searches simultaneously. So to be discoverable, now you need to appear not just for 50 keywords, you need to appear for millions of terms. The good news is that LLM bots are same as Google bots, they're still the machines. We can optimize for them. And that's the biggest takeaway. The discoverability for the LLMs looks a little bit different than it looked from the perspective. And the main difference here is the data accessibility. You need to make sure that your data is clean, structured, and how you put it out there for the bots. You cannot see them with your eyes, but you can always trace them unless you're super nerdy and have your server logs in place. Knowing that now your content is reviewed not just by the humans, not just by Google, but also with this kind of like new machines and new tech perspective, knowing how they play, knowing their rules. They're still the machines, they have rules. It can set you up for early success in AI search. In other words, to simplify it, if you want to be discoverable by LLMs, your content needs to be compliant with how they read. They are great readers, very fast. And if they can read your data, if you can make it accessible and available for them, that's going to be the first best step for your brand, for your B2B brand, the product lines to start being discoverable in this new environment.
Yeah, I love that. And we're going to double click into what is that data, which is what everyone's going to be asking, and how do you make it discoverable? There was a lot we went through. Maybe it would be great for you to take us back to first principles of explaining some of those terms that we're using now and becoming so commonplace. What is an LLM? What is an AI tool? And then we'll answer that data question.
Thank you. I actually find in my conversations with clients and partners that we're sometimes misunderstanding the terms. AI is often perceived as a little bit of a genie in the bottle, some magical thing that has its own intelligence being given human traits. It's still a machine. It's still an algorithm. It's very important to remember that there is no magic. This thing is built to emulate human intelligence, including emotional intelligence, but it's just an extremely complex algorithm. And any algorithm, just like Liudmila pointed out, can be optimized for, could be understood. In case of AI, we just want to understand the rules of the game. AI is a complex algorithm based on data and extremely complex mathematical formulas none of us really need to understand to emulate human-like communication and thinking style. It's been trained, it's been designed to emulate that. And it is generating its responses based on the data that's scrubbed from the internet. That part of the process is no different from the way Google operated. So if you know how Google works in general terms, you should remember that this indexing part is exactly the same. The more information you put out there, the more structured it is, the more specific it is, the better it is for you. The difference is that LLM, standing for large language model, is a subset of AI that is trained and built to understand human language. The way it understands it, it's really complex math. It doesn't matter. The important part is that it understands the semantics, the meaning behind the text. We can say a certain phrase sarcastically, which gives it the exact opposite meaning if we were to interpret it literally, right? So LLMs are capable of detecting the true meaning of the statement, not just the literal statement. The big difference compared to the old days of Google, where you were optimizing for specific keywords, with LLMs, they understand the synonyms. They understand the related terms. So if, for example, you're producing fasteners or you're selling fasteners, you're automatically somehow in the bucket with everything that's industrial MRO products, for example. You can use the word human, man, woman, boy, girl, anything related to the humanity, and those are closely related words. So you don't have to rank for a specific word. You need to rank for a meaning, for a certain domain that you want to be authoritative in. This is extremely important. So in the SEO days, we were generating a tremendous amount of keyword packed pages. Here, in this new age, we want to generate content that's meaningful for the domain. And I think this is the biggest change that we're seeing here. And then all the other terms like machine learning, it's just the way those LLMs are being trained. Generative AI is really a subset of AI that produces the output based on your request. It's able to generate something, not just analyze the data. I think once we understand those basic terms, things start naturally making sense.
I think what the LLM is, what it is, what those AI tools are, how they learn. And I think at the core of that is clearly data, right? Everyone's asking themselves, I've SEO optimized every page on my site for years. How do I now answer engine optimize it? AEO. Some folks are starting to use that term. And at Commerce, we think of this data ladder across 5 key stages, key pillars, 5 data maturity levels. And most people will be familiar with these. So level 1 is your product's very simple attributes. its title, its name, its description, its price. Things that already exist on your website, very easy for an LLM to get and understand. Level 2, we're taking that a level deeper. It's information that will live in your PIM, it's true catalog data. What are those product attributes? What categories does that product sit in? What's the SKU of that particular item? That information tied to the first set of attributes gives us where most B2B businesses sit today in the data that's on their site. Level 3 takes that a step further. That's what we call marketplace attributes. Things like inventory data, shipping attributes. Most businesses have that today, but you might not have live inventory and you might not have the details around those shipping instructions. But that clearly helps an answer engine understand, is this product available? What would shipping look like? Do I need a truckload of this? Can I get less than a truckload? Can I get it overnight? What are the possibilities here? Taking this a step further, I think in B2C world, a fair bit of this stuff lives on a site, but maybe not in B2B world. Think of things like the tech specs, the spec sheets for the products, your full product catalog and all the information that's in it. Think of things like trend guides. If you're a manufacturer or a distributor of products for landscaping, do you have detail about what's being used in certain regions, which plants are in certain regions, which products are on trend? That kind of information, unstructured brand information about the products themselves. And then finally, what we think level 5, unstructured data, but with context. Think of things like reviews, comparison articles, help articles, FAQs. And all of this data comes together to provide the context for that answer engine to be able to provide a contextual answer. To Liudmila's point earlier, that average search term it's 20 characters. It is so much bigger than simply I'm looking for this HVAC part. And that context is really important. But to be able to provide an answer, you need all of these 5 levels of data to be able to get the most relevant answer for the question. And just to give an example here, commerce, we have a company on our platform. They're a manufacturer distributor of veterinary equipment. And so they pride themselves on having that level 5 data on their site. Think reviews, educational information. How are these products used? Help articles, frequently asked questions. When you go and search for their product, asking a question that is about 20 words in length, I'm looking for a replacement for my Great Dane. Who pops up number 1 and number 2 in the search results? They do, Mavora, because they have that data and that information ready, available on their site. The AI engines love it. It's so great to help them answer questions. They've ingested all of it and are now using it to answer the questions that their potential veterinary clients are asking. Coming back to it, we set the stage of the data that we need. If I'm a distributor today and I don't necessarily have all that ready, Liudmila, what should I do? How do I start? What do I think about?
Plus, those are great points about the levels of data. Love it. That gives tremendous visibility and growth opportunity for brands that have it. If you want to optimize for LLMs, think about the perfect answers you're getting to a prompt and structure your content this way. So if you want to be popping up in the keywords, keyword prompts and questions about how-tos or guides, make sure that you have them accessible. If you would like to be the category leader working authority content, even if you don't have the massive amount of data that a manufacturer might have, meaning guides, reviews, FAQs, manuals, tech specs, you can work on a couple of formats LLMs also love and which are relatively easy to produce. LLMs are hungry for first-party data. As a manufacturer, you'll have a lot of those. As a distributor, probably not, but you can always get ahead by expert opinions, research, trends, where you can use AI to collect and process that data, but put your expert and market leadership or thought leadership opinion on top of it. Think top 10 products or top 10 brands that people are buying from you. Why would that be? Put a list together, put it out there, answer the burning question why this rating is like this and what makes your customers make those choices. Pull in your people from the front line, interview them for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, saying, hey, can you give me the POV? Can you give me the expert point of view why this is important? Most of the B2B brands that we work with already have some sort of a content production machine. It can be an agency producing some content, it can be like on the product side, it can be on the business side. So when you think about how you can tune up your content production and data machine, think about the burning problems that you would answer, but also structure it in a very LLM friendly way. Bottom line up front, clear headings, subheadings, bullet pointed lists, specific answers, specific conclusions, expert opinions, and citations. It might sound a little controversial, especially over the last couple of weeks. This space is so dynamic. We started to recommend our B2B clients plug in links and citations to community forums and Quora. If there is a because those are the sources that LLMs trust generally. Let's set aside Reddit's and Google relationship for a second. But generally, LLMs will seek for the trust markers and trust indicators in community-sourced content and industry forums or even general Q&A websites that you can reference and source ideas from are now equally important as the highly trusted industry websites, scientific articles, which is also a great source of trust that you can add to your content. But the bottom line is, even if you don't have a ton of first party data, you can still think about how you can structure your brand's communication in a way where you add more trust, more structure, better accessibility for both LLMs and humans. That's the way to go.
My advice to any manufacturer and distributor who's listening right now, wind back 3 minutes, slow that down and listen to every word Liudmila just said. That was absolutely perfect. A mic drop moment for exactly what every B2B business should be thinking about and doing. I'm going to try and unpack it and just condense it down super quickly because I think it's so important. Firstly, you said, think about the questions that your buyers are asking those answer engines. Exactly. And do you have the answer to those questions somewhere in the data set that already exists on your site, or you can put it on that site? That's exactly it, right? If the answer engine is looking for the answer, if you have it on your site, there you go. It's already there. So I think that's such a key point. Then you took it to the next step, which is to say it should be externally verified that the information you're sharing is thought leadership. And the ways you do that can be pretty difficult. You mentioned linking into Reddit, into Quora, linking into your customer base. Can you interview your customer base and put citations on your site in answering those questions? That's why for B2Cs, reviews are so important because reviews provide that external validation that the ALM, as it's ALM, we're making up words there, that the LLM is looking for when it's answering the question. It wants to validate it. And if you can provide that validation, you should find your top customers and interview them and put their references on your site. To your point, though, it's not just about a reference, it's about a specific question and problem you're trying to answer. Why do you use these products? Why are they the best? Why do you come to us to get those products? Everyone should replay that again and take each of those nuggets and think about how are you going to solve those problems. It's not necessarily first party. You might not have the first party data. Go and find it, build it, get it. What else can you do to reference other third party content that is relevant to what you're saying? Dmitry, I'm so curious how you're tackling exactly this with your customers today, because you're out there in the field all day speaking to manufacturers and distributors who are trying to solve this problem and who are seeing search results move off of their traditional kind of Google and other search engines into, in some cases, obviously Gemini, but also ChatGPT.
I want to piggyback of what Liudmila has mentioned, that it's all about the data, and data is everybody's problem. Any convention that I attend, I hear the exact same problem. No matter if it's a smaller business or if it's a global enterprise, everybody's saying our data is a mess and it needs to be cleaned up. And that's really where it all starts. Quite a few of our clients realize the importance of this, and they just proactively start introducing product information management systems. It's actually not as widespread as you might think. Even some mature businesses either don't have PIMs or their PIMs are outdated, not being maintained well. In the today's world, you absolutely have to have a great catalog of your product information. But this is where it all starts. What I would add to this is the data coming out of a PIM, it's more or less a gigantic spreadsheet if you think about it. And it's very dry. Does it answer the questions? Not exactly. It provides the data points for humans or AI to find their own answers. Think about two sentences. One of them is our model X345 offers superior performance. The maximum load is such and such. The weight is XYZ. X345 handles loads up to 5,000 psi, making it ideal for heavy industrial applications, indoor and outdoor, including the high humidity environments. You've answered so much right there. All of those data points also most likely exist in your spec sheet, but very dry. And that's not how a human would be searching for the information. If you search by PSI, you're probably using a facet search. Who likes using facet search, especially when you have 200 attributes to choose from on the website? It's confusing, it's inconvenient, it's clunky. AI doesn't exactly like that as well. You must put that information out there, but ideally you supplement that with some human readable text that will also be appreciated by AI answer engines. And you could say, I have 500,000 SKUs. This is just completely unmanageable for me to generate that kind of text. No, use AI to generate the data for other AI to consume. This is actually an official term. It's called synthetic data. This is one of the great examples actually of operational efficiency at work right there, when something that would take years for a human being could be done in a couple of weeks probably, but under supervision. This is an extremely important thing to remember. If we spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, we will be promised the moon and the stars, that AI solves all the problems of the world. Human in the loop became a strategy for a good reason. You want a human to be checking on the quality of the output and constantly avoiding the drift. You will be generating trash results if you just let AI ride scores unsupervised. So you give it a few good examples that are human written that you're happy with, the questions that your customers would be searching for. Then you use that as an example, and then you use scripts to generate this content. And then you put that into the PIM and automatically push into your website through the integration. And it doesn't have to be that difficult. So this is what we encourage our clients to do. And I'm glad to see that this is starting to actually take traction.
We're helping to solve kind of two of those problems. The first is generating that data. We, along with our product Feedonomics, the number one tool for syndicating product data to advertising channels and marketplaces, used by 30% of the IR 1000 businesses like Dell and Estee Lauder and Revelis brands. Through that tool, we're building direct connectivity into the answer engines. For those providing data to Google, you're already sharing that data into Gemini, and that data is going to get more rich. And we're doing it with Perplexity. And there are more of those announcements to come, connecting you directly into those engines. They're not just scraping your site anymore. You are providing their data. To your point, Dmitry, B2B businesses today don't necessarily have that data. They need to generate it. And so we've built what we call AI data readiness. I have product attributes, but I don't have all of it. And so we're using AI to help plug those gaps. I'm missing the context. I have the attributes, but not the context. This is perfect in high humidity conditions. You may not have that anywhere in your product description, but it's obvious from the detail that you've provided us, Commerce and Feedonomics. We can generate that data for you, and then you're ready to send it off to Answer Engine directly or put it on your site as well. And I think that's really important. We're taking those steps together. Are you seeing that today? Those that are moving first and thinking about this and implementing solutions, are they getting a competitive advantage?
I think yes, and a big one. Why? Because currently AI overviews are appearing on over 60% of Google searches. It's way faster than we all may think. And also ChatGPT is one of the fastest growing startups in the world's history, meaning the user base of ChatGPT is growing and it will be growing. Plus, add the agentic component on top of it. So not just humans using AI, but also a plethora of AI tools using AI bots, those little machines that scrape your content and look at you through a completely different prism than the humans. Combine this all together and you'll have the early innovator advantage, which you must get for yourself. And luckily, and I'm so happy to answer to what you were talking about, I'm so happy for the brands to have the functionality of covers that can help you structure the data, fill in the gaps, make it accessible, make it available, and not just for humans, but also for LLMs. So I highly encourage all the brands listening to that, everybody who's listening to that, think about the AI visibility as a strategic component of your overall marketing and branding strategy. If you need to understand where you are in the models right now, this is a super helpful first step that you can take. Why? Because the models see you differently. It's interesting. So, when we were talking about the native AI search, most of the AI models out there have two types of memory. They have two brains. One of them is super outdated, hazy memory to your words about the model training. That's the training data. It's frozen, and the bad news, you cannot retrain the model. The good news, you can look up where you stand there because only half of the ChatGPT searches have the search function enabled. A lot of people are still, while during their research, they're referring to that frozen. So you need to understand for your brand where you stand now and what to do next. I have built the AI audit visibility tool because I was doing over 100, 150 audits of the visibility manually. And then I built a tool that can help anybody, and it's free to use. Any brand, anybody can go to vertology.ai and run the memory-based audit report for them and check out where they are. Where I have put all my academic background and data science background into it, together with my marketing background. So that tool gives you a very clear answer where your brand stands now in the LLM visibility, AI search visibility from the memory perspective and the live environment as well. So speaking of platforms and tools, we do have the platform components on BigCommerce that pump your data into the LLMs in the new environment. And we also have tools like Vertology that can help you understand where you stand right now. From the digital marketing perspective, this is the moment to take action on everything related to your data structure and AI visibility.
Dmitry, same question to you as well. Competitive advantage, competitive disadvantage. How do you see it, and what are you advising customers immediately today?
My advice is always data. Make sure it is current, make sure it is complete, and make sure to update it frequently. Milo pointed out about the models. What is a model? Think of it just like a car. Every automotive manufacturer puts out a new model generation every 5 years, let's say. And oftentimes it's not really a brand new vehicle, it's a deeply upgraded version. The same thing happens with AI models. It's basically that newer, better version of a super complex formula that's trained on a newer data set. But when it's put out there, it's frozen in time. But the next one is coming out in 6 months, maybe in a year. But they are all guaranteed to come out with a new model because that's the way people stay competitive in AI. So you need to play that game. You have to abide by those rules. You have to keep your data fresh, or you will not be prioritized in the search output, right? We could say, I'm producing the same part for 10 years, maybe even 20 years. There's no reason to change the specifications. That is true. But again, we have to play by the rules of the game. So probably there are creative ways to make slight adjustments to those specification sheets, or maybe make even slight adjustments, not to the spec sheet itself, but the product details page of your website. Make those adjustments small enough not to be burdensome, but also meaningful enough to indicate that there is a change. Small things like last updated now becoming a little signal for LLMs that this is a freshly revisited page, a piece of content. One more thing to think about in the context of question-based search is put out all of the manuals, all of the R&D docs that seem to be so narrow focused, only necessary and important to a very few people in the entire world out there. That could be true. But again, those are very specific documents answering very specific professional questions, and they indicate authority and expertise. So you're not even putting that information on your website. Don't put it just on Dropbox and link to it. It's not going to give you anything. You want that content living on your website, on your domain. So you get that authority. Make them accessible, make them visible. Even if the humans are not going to be using those manuals, or maybe it's some customer stories, it could be industry research that somebody has published and wants you to promote. If you are the one promoting somebody else's research, guess what? You are getting the rankings from their hard work. And you're actually making it easier for your customers to find this information as well, becoming authoritative both to the customer and to the machine. It's a constant program that you need to be running as a part of your digital marketing strategy. And I highly recommend starting with the data and starting slow. Don't try to bite too big of a piece. It's just discouraging because it seems overwhelming. But if you get into the habit, it actually will become a natural part of your business process. And then you would be surprised how quickly you will bubble up to the top of the list.
I love that. This conversation has been fantastic. I've learned things from both of you. It's been amazing. I think if you're listening and you're a manufacturer and distributor, and this hasn't convinced you that you should be doing an audit, using the tool you mentioned to understand where you currently stand, asking the AI the questions that you know your customers are likely to be asking about your products, and starting to gather that data, start to gather it. Dmitry, you put it so well there. You don't have to eat elephant all at once. You can take these little bites, but start to do it today. Start to think about it. Also, you raised a good point too, which is there are two customers. Don't destroy your online buyer experience for making something that an AI can use. You still want customers to come to your site and get the information they need. It is not just about what's consumable for an AI. You get there, Dmitry. If you're getting third-party data that proves a really nice point about a product and why it's the best, make it accessible to your customers so that it's in a readable format that they can actually digest. It's good for them. You are becoming a thought leader. And so I think hopefully for those that are listening, you have been able to take away some really key actions. This isn't talking theoretical. There were some key actions to take away here that I think will be really important as businesses try to navigate the next stages. Any closing thoughts or comments before we wrap up?
Thank you, Lance. That's a great summary. Biggest takeaway from this discussion is we face some uncertainty, and it's leveraged. It's spiking up for many brands, especially looking at the calendar. There's the end of the year. A lot of decisions are being made and will be made shortly. So when you're looking at your marketing strategy, think AI, think understanding where you stand right now, use the tools, use Virtology, use my expertise, and be careful about your data and your stack. Choose professional solutions, choose scalable solutions, and choose your partners and providers wisely. If your current agency or provider says nothing about AI or keeps you in the safe zone saying, hey, it will not affect you, you'll still be okay, this comes and goes, don't trust that judgment. Work with the professionals, use the professional tech stack, use the professional toolkit. Now all those tools are emerging and the expertise in the industry is growing. BigCommerce is ramping up on AI capabilities to help you with the data. We are building tools to help you understand where you are. So orient yourself in this landscape, choose your priorities wisely, and be sure to have AI search, AI visibility, and AI data readability as your top priority for this quarter and especially for the beginning of 2026.
Dmitry, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah. As we were discussing, I thought of one thing. It's funny that machines will likely make internet more human. Almost ironic, right? But Google made internet almost unusable for some time, in my opinion, because there were so many SEO optimized results and they were not really helpful. They were driving a lot of direct response, trying to sell you some weird snake oil products. You would not necessarily find the best product or the most authoritative resource. You would be finding something that's extremely well optimized for search engines. AI makes that game not exactly obsolete, but it is able to judge the quality of the content. It makes it a lot more human consumable. And I'm really happy with the quality of the results that I get in AI answer engines. And I think that is true for most of us. It is great, but it also means it's a challenge, and we need to learn how to play this game. So my recommendation is to educate yourselves. There is absolutely no magic. It's a human devised algorithm that can be logically explained. And you do not have to be in technology to understand the core principles of how to operate in this AI space. So sign up for a course. There are tons of great free resources out there. Stanford University, Coursera, Udemy. For maybe a couple dozen dollars, you can get a great overview and you will start understanding it, and it will dispel all of this black magic nonsense that's happening right now in the AI space. And definitely don't buy into the promises of quick, magical, simple solutions to complex problems. Those do not exist. But systematic approach and all of the things we talked about earlier, they will definitely yield good results over time.
I love it. The shift is underway. Whether you're a manufacturer or distributor, you need to start preparing. This conversation has been fantastic. Liudmila, thank you so much. Dmitry, thank you so much. If you want to continue the conversation, find us on LinkedIn. You can connect with us, ask us questions. We'll be happy to answer them, or connect with our respective companies. Guys, thank you so much for this wonderful conversation. I know I've learned a ton. I'm sure our audience has too. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.